But when we would look at your online presence as a whole, the fire is missing for so many people who I know for a fact, because I've spoken to a lot of them, and this is some of you, have so much fire, so much passion, so much audacity and sass that honestly the world should get to be seeing, and who have a particular brand of what I call crazy, in a good way, that is unique to who they are, to where if they would just let it out, that would be your marketing. That would be your sales plan. That would be your branding. That would be all of it. Because the way this whole thing works, the internet, is the person who is the most truly in their certainty, who is most naturally compelling, who is magnetic, not because they're trying to be magnetic, but because they actually are standing up for what they stand for, and they're saying a thing that is coming through with an anointing, truly, if we're being honest about it. That's the person who's going to stand out. And the visuals and the way they structure things, and whether or not they're meeting the current, guidelines of what a post should be or what people are apparently paying attention to, become completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. Because whoever your ideal client is, the person who your message is for, they are going to pick up what you're putting down, whether or not it meets current standards. Yeah? And that's just, it's common sense. It's common sense. But if you're not actively pulling yourself up on that on a day-to-day basis, then what's going to happen is you naturally just adapting in the direction of whatever's trending online, or you get triggered by whatever seems to be getting the biggest response or engagement or popularity or whatever it might be. Or you start thinking to yourself, well, maybe I do need to present myself in a different way and show different parts of me that are actually not even parts of me that I care about. And so it's kind of like you're adding all these layers on, yeah? And underneath it is the fire, the flow, the magnetism of you being you, and the fact that if somebody were to lock you up in a room with a dinner party full of people, you would take the floor, you would take the stage, you would have the stories to tell, you would have the weird stuff that's just coming out of your mouth and you don't even know what you're saying, but it's compelling and it's making a difference. And all of that's still in there. But meanwhile, there's this careful little puppet show that's going on to the internet because in your mind, you've bought into an idea that if I don't jump through these particular hoops or operate in the way that this world operates, then maybe I'm not going to go to the next level. Maybe my income's not going to grow. Maybe I'm not going to get that book deal. Maybe my podcast is not going to take off, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you only have to look around at the people who truly stand out and truly do something unique or different in any industry, in any walk of entrepreneurialism or creativity. Anyone who's innovating, anyone who's taking a stand for something different. And literally by definition, they are doing something different. They're taking a stand for something different. They're quote unquote just showing up and being them. And they couldn't care less whether or not it meets a certain standard or fits into a particular model. So at some point, you've really got to give in to the fact that if you don't check yourself, then do you know what will happen? Another year will pass, another couple of years, another decade, and not everyone's been doing this online stuff for a decade, but it'll be a decade soon enough, and you'll be looking back and you'll be going, I'm still not all in on the thing that I wanted it to be. I'm still putting on the back burner the fact that I really want to talk about this. I'm still putting on the back burner the fact that it's driving me crazy that I can't just say that. I'm still suppressing or just shoving down the things that just want to pour out of me. Or I'm still jumping through hoops to present myself in a certain way in order to look professional or proper or make a difference or whatever it might be. And it's not, it's just the most, it's the most cliche thing to say in the world, but it's not going to change unless you change it. The only possible way you can get off the hamster wheel of accidentally building the not quite right business, like the shadow version of the business basically, is literally by walking off the edge of it. It's not by running faster. It's not by just catching up to whatever set point. It's not by just getting on top of this thing over here. It's not by pushing yourself through, like squishing yourself through, forcing yourself through whatever idea you think you need to present to the world in order to look whatever it is that you think you need to look. And then after that, you can say what you really think once you've fully established yourself. It is literally the exact opposite of that. It literally needs to be today is the day, like actually today is the day where you put down, step away from, turn away from, burn off your laptop, delete without looking at it. All of the planning, ideas, content calendars, marketing rules, stupid email sequences and funnels that you don't even care about, that somebody said is how you had to do it, opt-ins that don't feel connected to who you are but it fit into a certain formula, etc. And you just delete, burn it all, except we're not going to burn an actual laptop, so deleting will be fine, and stop looking at it. And instead you come onto whatever platforms that you're going to platform on wherever that happens to be, wherever you choose. And this is the scary bit, and this is exactly why most of you won't do it, but I challenge you to be the person that goes, you know what? Today is the day that you look back, you write it in your calendar, you go, that was the day where I changed everything. Somebody says to you one day, what happened? How did you go from whatever to whatever? When did it really kick in for you? When did it really blow up for you? You know, when you're on an interview and people ask these questions, as they always ask, you know, what's the one thing that you would tell people if you were looking back? And you go, you know what? There was this one particular day where I just decided that from here on out, I'm just going to be who I came here to be.